So I have backed off on pop. I for a while was saying that I gave up pop cold turkey, but that didn't last very long. Like,
What are you drinking though?
Water. This is coffee. I have Cherry Coke Zero was my addiction. And so all I've done is double up on coffee instead. So I'm still getting like caffeine, which is bad, but like I'm not drinking the diet pop like I shouldn't be. But when I go out to restaurants, there's nothing else to drink, like because water at some restaurants is super gross. And so, but I have a whole 2 liter over there that I really want, and I'm out of coffee. Water.
Oh.
But I did not spill my coffee this morning. Very proud of myself.
Yay.
Thank you for your support.
That would be a tragedy. What a waste.
So what did Randy Miser do to us today?
Bwahaha. Randy Miser is my friend.
Always.
I am last. It's Tina, Rhonda, Jen, Jamie. Tina, you get to be first. You should be so haps.
Yeah, because, so when I get those sticks jammed in under my fingernails.
Are you like the Eeyore of this group? Is that...
I was thinking that earlier. She even made the noise.
Oh, bother.
Poor Tina. She's having a rough day. We're teasing her.
Well, it's because we love her, right? Isn't she the one? Isn't she the one that said teasing is love?
Yes.
That's our family motto.
What is? Oh, bother.
If we don't pick on you, we don't like you.
Aw.
At least she's not calling you Rose right now.
Right.
Yes, well.
All right. Let me pull out Tina's here. Found it.
Oh my goodness. I didn't even see her first line the first time I read this. That's weird. Here it is right there in front of me.
But I couldn't upload
You changed it.
I already changed the first line, but I couldn't upload it because I didn't have internet yesterday. There was an outage. So
you have secret goals or secret objective, because last time I complained that I wished I didn't know the objective. And so
yes, it's a secret.
Yes. So you're just basically wanting generic feedback, or what are you wanting from us?
Yeah, just tell me your impressions and then I'll tell you what my goals were when you're all done.
All right. So that put you in the isolation booth then, my friend?
Okay, let me mute myself so I don't...
Apparently not, because she's talking right now.
She's mooting herself. That's what she just said. Can we talk about how she just said moot? Can you say that for a little bit? No.
Yeah. I want to know what a bespoke suit is. Can someone tell me? You history buffs.
What?
I have no idea.
Suit?
A bespoke suit. His bespoke suit. Okay, I guess Google is my friend, so let me check it out.
All right. Where did you see this?
In her submission.
How did I miss that?
Because it's the butler's clothes and you don't care. So your eyes probably just skimmed over it. No, I mean, like, seriously.
No, true. Like,
when you're reading sometimes, yeah. I think that's probably like kind of the point, right? Like you want the writing to kind of disappear and the picture comes into your mind without the writing sticking out to you. Like, that's how I feel about it. I don't really want to be aware of the writing.
Yeah, I see it now. His bespoke suit assented. What assented?
That means said yes. That means agree with what you say.
His agree with what you say suit assented his broad shoulders.
Oh, no. Oh, so you're saying the definition. But no, I've seen bespoke suit before. I'm looking to see what it is. Images. How about that? So I guess it means like a skinny suit is what it looks like a tailored suit.
I'm thinking Jeffrey on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, I'm looking at Google Images, and yeah, it kind of looks longer, like a riding jacket type length, and then yeah, okay, all right. 5 reasons you need a bespoke suit. Like, really? And this is a very modern article. Like, men's style. Oh, this site is shut down. Okay, so anyway,
I do think though that accented. I think she might have meant accentuated his broad shoulders. I think it might be the wrong word. Accented. That should be accented. So I think. Anyway, let's get some bread.
Okay.
I like Maria. I already am invested in her. I feel bad for her. I feel like she's really young. I don't know for sure, but I feel like she's really young. I got a little tripped up on the 6-inch heel because I was like, really, 6 inches? I mean, and then I searched it, and there really are 6-inch heels, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. But they are absolutely ridiculous heels, which is probably what the point was in the writing. So well done with that. I still feel like she struggles a bit with showing, not telling. About halfway down the first page, it felt like the room began spinning at any moment. Don't tell me it felt. If you use the word felt or felt like, just take that, you know that it's wrong. In my opinion, you just need to take that out. Like, if you don't tell me what it felt like, show me. So other than that, though, I think that I'm really invested in this character, and again, I was like you in the podcast, Jamie. I thought, oh, this has got to be the same world. That, or she's watching a lot of Real Housewives. So
yeah, I will say, Brad, this is an engaging story. There's a relationship here. There's conflict. I mean, it's all the stuff that is meant to make you want to read more. For my meat, the weird, she preferred tequila, but that was for the lower classes, being in italics. I don't really understand. And I feel like saying that was for the lower classes is a little trite or something. But that was about the only sentence in this piece that was like, really, that's kind of not fitting in with the rest of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
right.
I do wonder what is going on, because she's like the perfect trophy wife. So there's a mystery here about this bad marriage, and it was a little bit weird that she was talking about all her curves, because in my mind immediately I was like, this is a red dress, but then I'm like, oh, she's going to a funeral, so it must be black. So I mean, I know it says it accentuated her curves in all the right places, but in a classy way. Maybe that could also be finessed a little bit, right? Like, so maybe addressing what her figure, I don't know. It just, again, it put me in the mind that this was like a hubba dress, but no, she's going to a funeral, even though she said, but in a classy way. It really kind of went like, what, a funeral? But we're worried about how our body looks in the dress. So that either tells us something about she's on the make for guys, or like, why is it talking about how she looks hubba in her dress when she's on her way to the funeral? You know, I mean, I guess she's trying to say it makes her a trophy wife. I'm confused.
Maybe, and maybe that's her one and only concern, is how she appears for her husband. Like, maybe that's what we're supposed to like know about her, is that her only like concern is her looks, you know? So I mean, I can kind of see that. I agree with the italicized, the tequila line. That shouldn't be italicized. And the lower classes, I think she could fix that if she figures out somebody from this culture, what they would call someone who didn't have a lot of money. You know, like there's probably a word in Spanish for like someone who is like,
El Pezento.
like, oh yeah, like ghetto. You know what I mean? But that's if you were talking about somebody, let's say from let's say like from Flint or whatever, they might say, but that's too ghetto, you know, or something like, maybe I'm showing myself as being too old, but when we were growing up, that's what you would have said, was that's too ghetto. So maybe if she could figure out what word that is for that culture, then she can get the same point across without it sounding like she's somebody outside of the culture writing about this.
Yes, and if this isn't our first chapter, maybe we already know a character, and she could be like, this is like something Leslie would wear, or you know what I mean? So there's a myriad of possibilities, but that's a very minor meat. Like, my meat is a thin slice of bologna, and I'll shut up because Rhonda's waving her hand.
Okay, I disagree with both of you. All right, so Jen mentioned about showing, not telling. I think she did a really good job of showing through the whole thing, and a line here or there where it's describing what's going on, I don't mind that, because talking in real life, I would say it felt like the room was spinning, you know, and I mean, I wouldn't find a way to show that when I was speaking. So something like that doesn't really bother me. I mean, obviously it bothers her. So those are our two opinions. She preferred tequila for the lower classes. My opinion of this woman, I am thinking like Julia Roberts in Pretty Women. She's gone on to marry Richard Gere, and now she's uncomfortable with her position, and so that's why she's so aware of her body, because that's what made her money in the past. And she's trying to present herself as not part of that lower class anymore. And so anything that would connect her with it, she's trying to shun or tell herself, no, can't do that. So
we're not disagreeing with that. We're saying the choice of the words lower classes. That's not
right.
The word.
Well, I'm saying that's why I think she would use that, because I don't want to be lower class. That's what they do. So, and that's just the word in my mind. This character is what she would use.
Well, if the author agreed with you, I would minimally insist that she take it out of italics, because why is it in italics? She's not thinking it when she when she's thinking higher up in the piece, it's all italics. And so if this isn't a thought she's having, I prefer tequila, but that is for the lower classes, then she can leave it in italics.
Yep, I agree. So my only meat is the one paragraph is right in the very center, where it says Maria's heart race. I was just a little bit, I'm not really sure obviously I know what's going on in the paragraph here, but I'm not sure what the background is for this and what I should be taking out of the paragraph. I thought the only line in here I didn't really care for was, it's too late to take the yacht. Is that a last moment thought, or is it, oh, I should jump in the yacht and go drive 10 days? Or is it, we should have planned this better, or so anyway, I just was stumbling on that.
You're right.
That is my only meat for this whole piece. I loved it. I enjoyed reading it, and I want to know more.
I did trip up there, and I had to, she's afraid to fly. So like maybe if she put, how could she get on the plane without him first, that might help us have a hint that she's afraid to fly.
Or of him.
So you took away from that she's afraid of him?
Well, that was a question. Maybe not afraid of him, but just avoiding him, or I don't know. Wants to spend that time traveling, not with him.
Right, but you are right that was something like, it was too late to take the yacht. What? Oh, okay. She doesn't want to get on the plane. Got it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you there. That's a little unclear. Awesome. Well, overall, like I said, and my meat is very thin. I think this is well written and intriguing, and I would like to see what happens.
Agreed.
All right. Do we have anything else to say before we let her come out? Nope. All right, Tina, what do you have to say to us?
Thanks, guys. Okay, well, the assignment that I gave myself was to write an opening of a story that had a character that would hook the reader and make them want to invest themselves in her story. So that was my goal. So based on your feedback, I think I did it.
I agree. I think you did.
And honestly, I didn't do the editing I wanted to do. And I didn't finish the scene. So I actually ended up giving it to you guys before it was done, but that's what I had. And then so it's good to hear like some of your feedback. Like, I don't know why I put that line in italics. So you're right, it should not have been in italics. And so this character, Rhonda kind of had it right. She doesn't feel like she fits in with the class that she's in, even though that's how she was raised. So
yeah, I totally got that from the writing. I agree. I can see that with the writing. The meat of that for me was just the term lower class. I don't think that she would use that term. Like, it didn't feel natural. Maybe I'm wrong, but you're the writer. If you feel like that's what she would say, then that's what she would say. I feel like if she really is from this culture, she lives in Columbia now. She came from Miami, right? I read that right.
Yeah.
There would possibly be a word in.
It could be.
So.
When I was writing it, that's what came out. So
right. So it's just.
I sit around and say, "Oh, I have to say lower class." That's just what came out. So I mean,
right.
It's possible there's a better word that I could put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might look that up.
Okay, so here's the thing. You have, he smiled at Maria, his eyes seeing past her facade as they always did. Now compared that to, that's for the lower classes. Do you understand? It's like it totally sticks out because it is too.
Yeah, I have to rewrite. I think I have to rewrite that, and I'm just going to leave the lower class part out. And I'm just going to say, because I was reading it again. I think I'm just going to say she preferred tequila, and leave it at that. And let the reader infer what that might mean.
Like, I mean, not to belabor the point, but okay, because you now have revealed that the goal is for me to be invested in a character, I am now critically thinking about how I feel about that. And while I am invested in the story and what is going to happen next, I do not feel like I love Maria. So maybe if you said something like she preferred tequila, but tequila was left in the life she left behind, or some kind of a mystical hinting at why she no longer drinks tequila. So a little more peppering in of here, because I feel like, so what are the devices that you are using to make me love Maria? Okay, like now that I know, you make us sad for her because her mother is dead. Great. You make us endeared, and you endear her to this Ramon person. You see that there's a relationship there that is, like a father-daughter kind of a thing. Wonderful. She's all alone in the world now. But so what other things could you do to make us love Maria and not just curious about?
Well, that's coming in the rest of the scene. And the specific, I don't know if I want to give this away. The specific thing that he was talking about was that if you have somebody else in your first scene that loves your character, it will tend to make your reader love your character. It will draw them to her.
That's a great point.
Interesting.
So I was specific. The whole focus of this was on Ramon and his tenderness to her. Like that was like where my focus was, without being. I didn't want it to be. That was my focus, but I didn't want it to be the entire focus of the scene, if that makes sense.
I do know what you mean.
So I was kind of like, okay, so how do I fit another character in here? So it's just not this woman looking at herself in the mirror with the cold husband. So that's basically what I was trying to do. And I was just playing around with ideas. So
awesome. Well,
what about the bespoke suit?
Yeah,
a bespoke suit is just a hand-tailored suit that's been made specifically for you.
Huh. Interesting.
So instead of going to a suit shop and getting a suit already made, the guy would come and take your measurements and make you a suit specifically made for you.
Wow.
So the reason that you put that is an intimation that he's rich.
Yes. I was trying to paint the picture of their life. And that would be a word that somebody who was rich would automatically know what it meant. But since nobody knew what it meant, I'm wondering if I need to.
No, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to introduce some new words to your readers. And like, just because I didn't know it doesn't mean there aren't like millions of people that knew it. Like I feel like I should have known that, you know? So
yeah, I totally thought Jen or Rhonda could tell me because I thought it was a historical term.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a British term. There's like, you can walk down the street in a British, like downtown London, and see bespoke suits on a sign. Like it'll say so-and-so tailors bespoke suits.
So it's that thing where you always see in the movies when someone comes into a lot of money or needs to look like they did, where they're at the tailor and the guy's on his knees saying, "Oh, Monsieur Magnifique," or whatever, and he's like measuring.
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. I love when I learn something. Well, Tina, great job. Thanks for sharing this piece with us.
Thank you.
And you're going to continue this piece? This wasn't just an exercise. You're going to do more with it?
Yeah, I have a whole idea for a whole storyline.
Awesome.
And this scene was longer in my brain. I just didn't get it down yet. So.
Gotcha.
All right, Rhonda, what do you got? All right, no, it's isolation booth.
Is there anything you're looking for before you go in? Is there anything you're looking for from us?
Well, the piece I submitted last week, that was the one where it was barbecue and there were a ton of people milling around and you weren't sure where the focus was and all that. And so I was telling you that there are 3 parts of the chapter. First part, a lot of people. Second part, tighter focus, and then the third part, Tom, his point of view. And so this is it, and it's basically a snowflaked outline. So, and I'm not worried about grammar and word uses, and well, maybe word usage, I don't know. Just the idea of where it is going is what I'm looking for. Your thoughts?
Okay. Into the booth.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, I've lost her piece somewhere, so someone else needs to start talking.
I'm glad she said that because my bread about this is I love how much more focused this one is. Like I love that we are with Tom and we get like really to see him some more and inside his head more and find out like really what's going on. And I feel like we were able to get a lot of information without it feeling like info dumpy. I really appreciated that. My meat is which I mean, she kind of like explained it away when she says it's just like a snowflake outline. There's a lot of issues with it's obviously a flashback. It starts off with him at the house and then he thinks back to the evening, but when he's back thinking about the evening, the terms that she uses in the writing do not coincide with it being a flashback. Like towards the bottom of the second page, the second to last paragraph, he and Uncle Ted accepted the tickets to watch the parade. He didn't tell Mr. Green that he already had passes. He would surprise Z later, maybe tonight. Well, we've already been through tonight. Like we're already ahead in the evening. So we wouldn't be guessing that maybe he's gonna do this tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like she could say he thought he would have gotten to it tonight, but didn't, or whatever. I don't know how she would reword it, but the flashback doesn't work for me. But since she said that like I mean like obviously she was just like snowflaking it. So it's hard to critique something that's just a snowflake. So I guess I need to rethink it some more. What do you guys think?
I thought that it was good. I'm wondering what the significance of this house is. You know, she spends a lot of time about this house that he bought and his thinking about it. So, you know, in my mind, I'm like, okay, what's the significance of the house? And probably we're going to find that out later. The only meat that I had, especially now that I know it's a snowflake outline, was he said something to Z and then she like suddenly got cold and that confused me. Like I wasn't sure why she was.
Well, if we remember back to what she submitted before, we're in Z's head and Z sees him talking to another girl. And so then she gets kind of like her feathers are ruffled. And then that Larry guy starts talking to her and she flirts with him and she's like, why am I flirting with this guy?
I remember that.
So she's probably cold. And then he did make a comment about Ralph, which is her ex. So of course she's going to react, you know, like I thought that was kind of like buffoonish of him to bring up Ralph, you know?
Yeah, I did not like that. I mean, I've been liking him all this time, but like, why would he jab at her like that? I mean, now
it seemed way out of character.
Right,
I
that's
really
what I'm
did
talking
think
about.
And
When he
I
said something about Ralph and then she got upset. Like I wasn't sure what was going on there.
Oh,
well,
I thought you didn't understand why she was upset. Sorry. So you don't understand why that whole thing happened, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he says, sorry your friend Ralph is missing your big moment. Like I didn't understand why he would say that.
Yeah.
That's
me
what I
too.
don't understand.
I haven't been able to say any bread yet, but I do agree with that piece of meat for sure. That was really, really threw me.
So that's the only meat I had, but I like where it's going and I want to know more. And I like the little kind of, I don't know what you would call it, where she says her car's in the shop, and then we remember back to when she saw Ralph around Z's car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like deepening the mystery.
I like how much focus she put on the house. Like that would probably be bread for me. I like that we see a person up in the window. Like for me now, I'm invested because like you spend that much time on something like a house, then I'm going to be like, okay, something's going on here. And then he sees someone in the window, and I'm like, ooh, there's something, you know. So I like that better than all like the other chapter where there was like just so much going on and so much information. And I didn't know what to focus on. When I read this, I feel like it's so much more focused, and I feel like I know where the chapter is going.
Well, let me give some bread because I would like to address that, except I haven't given any bread, so it's going to make me seem really negative. I do love the whole paragraph about the Fox Theater with the light gradually revealing the magical stage of make-believe, and he wants to write the last great scene. Like, wonderful, literary, poetic. Like, there's this scene is like full of that kind of great descriptive writing. I love picked up speed on the dirt road and the stones pinging on the fenders as he slows down. Like, all of that is like setting the scene for like a leisurely stroll past the house. But it's confusing to me, Jen, that you say that this is so focused, because as I'm reading it, I'm like, who cares about this horseshoe game? Why do I have to hear about every point that every person made and everybody cheering? Like, I don't understand why that's in here. And so as I was reading it and wondering that, I'm thinking, well, this has to be a cozy mystery thing that I don't understand then or something, because I feel like, I guess maybe she just had to get it in there that he had made a comment about Ralph. And then, like, would he not know that Ralph was her ex-boyfriend? I mean, it seems like they talked a lot and like knew each other a lot before this horseshoe game. Like, I mean, is it a small enough town where people would know who was with who before? So it didn't seem realistic that he wouldn't know Ralph was her ex-boyfriend. And then for him to be like, too bad your friend Ralph didn't see your great score. So I feel like, wouldn't that be a separate chapter? So, like, I don't know why now we're talking about the horseshoe game.
I agree with what you're saying. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's out of character. Like, I think he absolutely knew that Ralph was the ex-boyfriend. I don't think that a town this size that he wouldn't know that. I think that, like, I'm just surprised that he would say that. It makes me not like Tom.
So did you think it was
compared to the last thing we read? I think it's a lot more focused, is what I was saying.
I do agree. Yeah. I'm trying to see where he talks about Ralph. And then there was Ralph. What an oaf. But what was that he said when he left? Something about seeing her later. Yeah, and so he still has jealousy about an ex. So I guess maybe they never talked about it, how she really feels about Ralph and why they're broken up. So, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right, Jen. I guess he did know that was the ex and he still made the comment. Like, I get it that you might get jealous and you might be like, too bad Tom wasn't here to see, right? You know, but yeah, I do.
But Larry was the one she was talking to, not Ralph. So why is he bringing up Ralph?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, both. He talks about both guys, I guess.
But not to her.
Not to her. You're right. And I want to say more bread. I love Chances Are. I love Blueberry Hill. I mean, totally setting the stage for the time period and helping me stay in that like 50s groove. And yeah, so like my bread is like terrific writing. My meat is I'm again not sure what is important after reading this. Is the house important? Is the horseshoe game important? I'm left a little confused. That's it. Right. But it's great.
It's also this I guess it's a thought that he had. Girls like to pretend like they weren't athletic. How bogus. Like, if you take that thought and you add it to him saying, sorry, your friend Ralph is missing at the big moment, it starts to make me think, is this character not as nice as we thought he was?
Which is possible. Maybe that's what she's trying to show. Maybe he's the bad guy. And we, who knows? We won't know until we take her out of isolation.
That's true.
She would be the person that drew him to understand what drew him to the property, but she managed to avoid him most of the afternoon. He wasn't sure why. He thought they got along fine after their date. But evidently he wasn't the only fish she had dangling, you know? And so it's reading like jealousy.
Maybe he's had bad history with girls, like two-timing him or something, and he's got an attitude about that.
Which feels, again, a little more romancy, which is not the direction they're going in, but.
All right. And so, and I'm looking at this too, and I guess the horseshoe thing could just be shorter and I would feel better about it. I guess that's what it is. It's a little bit too descriptive, because I get she's trying to get in the dig that he made, and she's also trying to get in that she should have made the shot and didn't. You know, I guess if she just made it shorter, it would work better for me. That's it. But I really like the writing. I think as it gets fleshed out, it will be nothing but awesome.
Yes.
All right. Shall we let her out?
I think so.
All right. Rhonda, Honda.
Okay. Thank you, ladies, as usual. Okay. So I heard what I needed to hear, but now I need to know. Okay. So at the end, Jamie, you mentioned that the horseshoe portion, if it was shorter, there is information we want to get out from the end of the game, but we didn't want to describe the game playing in the middle portion of the chapter. So we were hoping a flashback would work, but it doesn't seem to be working for you guys. But if we just added a couple sentences, then would that make it better? Or not?
To the last week's, to the barbecue scene, you're saying?
Yeah, well, this is the same evening of the horseshoe game. So he's just flashing back to a few hours ago.
Okay. So luckily, neither of the guys had stayed for the horseshoe tournament.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't need the whole rest of that paragraph, take it out. Mm-hmm. It went back and forth over several rounds, and he enjoyed the competition. Girls,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then his first shot, you know, it was all up to Z. Like, I mean, if you could just, I would want it shorter. I don't know what you mean by adding some sentences. I don't know what you would add. I'm confused.
No, I mean, I don't mean adding. I mean, tearing the flashback down to a few sentences. You're saying would improve it. Because we didn't want to go back.
Flashback.
I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry. You're saying pairing what? Okay, the flashback is the horseshoe game.
Yep.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Because we didn't want to add it to the middle portion and muddy it up with more people, you know, being part of the game. But we want to add part of Z's character arc in, which someone mentioned briefly, but you were more focused on Tom. So we're going to need to take some of that out and pump up Z a little bit because that's important to her arc for the entire story.
Let me make a little suggestion.
Yes,
okay.
please.
So forget it as a flashback, but you're going to start a new scene, maybe even a new chapter, and it's going to be from Tom's perspective. So it could be the end of the barbecue. It could be the horseshoe thing, like kind of like that begins the chapter, but then we're inside his head the whole time, and how disappointed he is, and on the fact that she was flirting with someone else. He gets in the car, and he ends at the house.
Yeah,
that I think would read a whole lot more. It would make a whole lot more sense than doing it as a flashback. And because you've changed perspectives, point of view, you can do that and end the barbecue. You don't have to add the horseshoe thing to the barbecue scene. You have your own scene because it's from someone else's perspective. I think that would be a lot easier to read.
And I think you should end it on seeing the person in the window.
Oh.
That's what I mean, that paragraph where it says he saw it, because then that seems like a significant moment, and then you go back to him turning on the radio and thinking about pulling out the number.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Or leave us hanging for a while. Next scene where was Z doing something, and then the next scene after that, we're back with Tom, and he's doing something else, and he can't get it out of his mind that he thought he saw someone in the window. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that keeps us reading. Because we're like, what about the person in the window? And we just keep going until we find out more information. So
okay. So with that in mind, are you interested in him? Whose number's on the paper? In the very last. Okay. So, but just take that out, or because I do like the thought of him leaving it where you just suggested.
Well,
I would just switch them.
Yeah, bring the paper in sooner. He likes thinking about it. He looks at the paper and he's going to go, he's time to find a phone booth or whatever. And then he looks up and he sees that.
Okay. Oh, so. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. All right. Well, I have a lot of work to do. All right. I appreciate that. You guys gave me exactly what I needed to hear. So thank you.
Awesome.
Hooray.
All right. Think I'm next.
So your back is well fed, and
yes,
Jen, what do you want from me?
I do not want to say.
Oh.
Because I want to just get your natural reaction and see if yeah, I don't want to say this time. So
Natch react.
Natch react.
No.
No.
Just because you kids aren't hip with the lingo doesn't mean that.
I will say that it's only because of Jamie that I actually know some hip lingo, like because somehow she kind of is on the cusp of all that way more than I am, and often she'll text me something and I have to Google it to figure out what she's saying.
Take it with a grain of salt because it's hip to homeschoolers, so it probably was hip 5 years ago. So
or it never was, and it's only hip to homeschoolers.
Only hip to homeschoolers, yeah.
I prefer older things like that so that when I use them on my college age student, I get the good eye roll.
Yes,
that's what I prefer.
It's like they think that we don't know that we're embarrassing. That's so funny. That's the biggest inside joke that parents have.
Right.
Like the most recent thing that I learned, that when you're naming a pet, it needs to be like the most elaborate, crazy name ever. It needs to be totally mundane, like Bob. Like apparently that's a thing.
So is your husband happy to have a pet name?
Yeah, I don't know. When he's in trouble, I call him Robert.
Uh-oh.
When he's really in trouble, I call him Reverend Robert.
Oh, boy. All right. So Jennifer doesn't want to tell us anything. So goodbye, Jennifer. Into isolation booth you go. And who has commentary on Jennifer's piece here?
I do.
Go.
Okay. This is going to be really short, but heartfelt. Okay.
Oh, no.
My bread is the letter. I appreciated that letter so much. It was almost like a salve to my own heart, just as the reader. So this has been worth everything that I've gone through with this character. Okay.
Yay.
So, but I loved what I read, and I honestly have zero meat, and I know that I've got meat a lot, and I can usually try to find something to be helpful, but I literally have no meat for this, and I loved the letter. So that's my comment for today.
Excellent. I agree with you. The letter says everything that we want to say to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel that way, Tina?
Yes. The only thing that kind of threw me a little bit, and this is like, this isn't even meat. It's more like you put a piece of ham on your sandwich and decided you didn't want it, and a little bit of the juice got on the bread.
Juice.
I don't know, the postscript and the postscript.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I don't know. I kind of wanted that stuff in the body of the letter, but that's just nothingness. So
I totally agree. Like, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think that what it shows is like they had to hand write. So if he thought of something after the fact that he wanted to add, so it's supposed to just kind of indicate that he thought he was done. Oh crap, I didn't say whatever. So, but I mean, I totally get it. Because PPS, I was like, really? But then I had to think about.
And he's a pastor, and he has to write things all the time. So I feel like his writing level would be higher.
At our museum, we've got a lot of letters from, especially earlier than this. They would take one large sheet of paper and write their letter and then fold it up, and that became the envelope, and they'd put their wax seal on it. And that was even as late as like the 1890s. And there would be postscript. I mean, that's where they came from, is everything's already done and sealed, and you're writing it like on the leaf, on the fold on the back and all that. So that didn't bother me at all. I just thought it seemed a little bit more authentic to me, to be honest.
Would they then sign it? Would they then sign like person's name after the postscript?
No, not really. But sometimes you can tell if it's in a different hand. So I'm trying to think of an example with.
I'm asking because it's like a plot point in what I'm writing, actually. So I'm like, would they also put like, love Rhonda or Rhonda after the postscript if they wrote it on the outside of the thingy?
No. No, I can't think of an example where they would. I'm not saying nobody ever would, but you do see them occasionally in different hand.
Gotcha.
So if you're familiar with the handwriting, which you probably would have been, you would know who wrote it.
Gotcha. Okay, so I mean, it's a necessary sort of a scene, right? Like, so I'm trying to encapsulate kind of a mission accomplished feeling. Now we know there's a community garden. Now we know they're going to build a new house. Now we know more of this mining company that pulled out and really doomed the town. So like, great for world building. Bready bread. My only meat juice. Oh, and then also I love that Will bought her a mirror. Hooray!
Oh yes,
that's so nice. Like, that's really great. All like, how wonderful. My whole thing is just that I'm not reading this book straight through because I cannot keep these characters straight. I don't know who Mrs. Wiggins, and then whoever showed up with the parcel, I thought was that terrible guy who, like, the name of him. What was the name of the guy who brought her the mirror? She opened the door and was Jack Simmons. I'm like, oh no, it's the CAD, but it isn't. It's some other person. Like, did I forget? Is Jack Simmons the one that she read the Bible verse with? And I'm just having a really hard time. So I don't necessarily think it's a problem that the author is having with me not knowing who she's talking about. I think it's probably that I'm not having a solid read through. But it could be that there's too many characters to keep track of for me, or maybe it's just because I don't read this genre and care about 800 town people. You know what I mean? So it's just meat for my own brain. Other than that, it's like everything that she has to accomplish is there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who Jack or Mrs. Wiggins are either, but I just assumed that if I was reading the whole book at once, I would.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is there anything else?
I just want to reiterate that I do love that he gave her a mirror.
Yeah.
That was very
and that's
sweet
just
of him.
gonna finally pray.
Mm.
Like, get a clue. You're supposed to be a pastor.
Well, she probably prayed, but just not about that.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's very human of us, I think, to like not want to pray, but like pray is the last
She's a pastor.
resort.
She can't be human.
Right.
Gosh.
Like Reverend Robert.
Sorry, that's me. I'm not bitter at all. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I think we can let her out.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Yes, Jamie, thank you for pointing that out, like the human part. Like, I'm trying to write her as she's completely imperfect. Like, I've known a lot of pastors, like in real life, not just from the pulpit and just in the church doors. Like, because being raised in a pastoral family, you learn that they're human like everyone else. And there's a part of me that is Phoebe too. Like, I can't tell you how many times, and it's not that I go without praying. I pray. But if I don't want to hear the answer from God, like, I got it set in my mind, I don't really think about the fact that I'm not praying about that because I already know, like, oh, he's a jerk. Like, and then all of a sudden God's like, have you really spent time? And I was like, oh, so then you stop praying about the things you've been praying about. So like, that's what I was trying to like show in that, is that, like,
I hope you know I was being completely sarcastic.
Okay, I wasn't for sure.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so yeah, so she for sure prays, but she was like not praying about like the way she should have. She was praying like in a way that, like, smite him, oh smiter, oh smiting. It was probably the prayers that she was doing.
Is this a bad thing that I just saw Jim Carrey in my brain?
No, that's totally who I was quoting, trying to quote.
Okay.
So no, that was fine. Okay, so the PS and the PPS, everything you guys said is exactly why I put it in there. I had found letters online, and I read a bunch of them from soldiers in World War I back to their families and their wives and loved ones. And almost every single one of them had a PS, and about half of them had a PPS. I thought that was a more modern thing, but when I found them in the letters, I thought that's so cool, and just, I think for the same reason that Rhonda said, is you finish, or maybe it was Jamie, you finish a letter and they're like, oh, I forgot. Like, you can't go back and edit it like we do with like emails. So that's how they would have done that. So I did that on purpose because I wanted to include that. Jack is the store owner. He is married to Mary, the talkative one that was in the and it's closer to her age, that was in the welcoming committee. And Mrs.
I was so
Wiggins,
wrong. I thought it was like a teenage boy.
Nope. And Mrs. Wiggins was also in the welcoming committee. She's the really quiet one. We also see them on one of the Sundays. So yes, it's because you're not reading it right in order. I think that if you were read it right in order, that there wouldn't be too many characters, and they're introduced enough times that you get a feel for it, that they're there. So, all right. So what I was looking for, and you didn't say, which I'm really glad, is I took a ton of crap out of this chapter. Like this chapter was one of those super long, like way too much stuff in the chapter, and I was afraid that I'd taken so much out that the chapter didn't feel cohesive enough, and that wasn't any of your complaints. So
Oh no, I would not want it any. Like, what did you take out? Because I can't imagine anything that I would want to be longer.
You can't imagine how much weeding they did, and what they weeded, and what vegetables were there, what they were going to do with them.
Oh yeah, that would have been the kind of book where I'm like skipping pages to try to find the action.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I did have meat because lamb's quarter is my favorite vegetable in the spring. By the way,
vegetable. It's a weed. You eat it?
It's spinach. Yeah, eat the young ones like spinach.
Oh,
it's
wow. Maybe I will change that then, because I pull it out of my garden
you don't have
like
to do
crazy.
that because most people think it is.
Yeah. So so there was that, and then in this chapter originally I had her thinking back to when Will had caught her, and I moved things around, and I had that from his perspective instead, which I just think is much better than from her perspective. And so that made it a lot longer, and then the whole mirror thing, I made it way longer, and I'm so much happier with it, where it's just like he shows up, here's a mirror, a note from Will, end of chapter. Love it so much more than belaboring the part that, oh, this is the expensive mirror that I thought I could never afford. Who cares? It's a mirror from Will. You guys got the reaction I wanted. They'd be like, oh, Will got her a mirror, and that's all I care
better
about.
than a bucket.
Yeah.
What I am surprised at, that nobody made a comment about Will's note, like specifically, like, because he's being a little bit of a cad, and I love that. But like, he's so lovable, but he definitely, no wonder she gets annoyed with him, because he can be super annoying, like, and for goodness sakes, please stop standing on buckets. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to say that. He had to say, here's a mirror. No, he has to be like, quit standing on buckets. You're going to break your neck. So
I like it.
All right, good. So, because it's totally him, and I'm glad that you guys like that. So, yeah, appreciate the feedback. Very, very helpful. So, and I'm glad that that it read cohesively and not like feeling like you were jumping around, not getting all the information you needed, because I don't want to do this chapter again.
Why not?
So, thank you very much. Awesome. All right. Last but not least.
I don't like going last.
Oh, too bad. So sad.
Maybe I'm gonna start saying that I'm first.
You don't like going last, but somehow Randy Miser always puts you there, and you never change it.
I don't like it. I haven't been last for a long time. I've been like second or third or something. All right, so
last either.
All right. No particular feedback. I don't even know if you remember the original story. I told you where to find it in the files. And so this is just a continuation. I'm like currently editing up this piece. And so I just kind of want feedback about it. So mark it, set, go. Goodbye.
All right, then. All right. Who wants to go first?
Well, okay. I liked it. It was totally readable. I liked the sister aspect of it. I want to know more. I mean, I know that we read this before. I enjoyed the piece before, and I'm glad to see that this is going on. So, I don't really have any meat. If I had any meat at all, it would be Rebecca Redenbacher, because I just, every time I read that, I think, was she eating popcorn when she made the name? But literally, that is the only piece of meat I have in this entire thing. Oh, and also I thought, wait, is Rebecca the keto one? Because is she mocking her with the popcorn name or what? But anyway, that's literally it. I love these characters, and I want to read more. So I hope she goes on with it.
Yeah, I was super happy when I read it and saw that Saffron was back. Saffron is the keto one, or the low carb one, or whatever.
Okay.
And so yeah, I really love that. I love the like I was already in love with Saffron, so I just love that we were able to see more inside of her, and my heart ached for her when she went into the bathroom. Like, clearly, like, this is bigger than just a diet. Like, there is something way bigger and more serious going on in this poor girl's life, that she's bawling this uncontrollably in the bathroom of the cake place, and there's clearly more baggage there about how much she hates the wedding industry, and so, like, it makes me just want to know more about this girl. I guess well, if you can't be an NFL cheerleader, blah, blah, blah. Well, was she trying to be a cheerleader? I don't remember that from the other one. I know that she's thinner, but, like, is that a hint that she's marrying a football player? Like, I think I might have, I didn't have time to go back and read the other one. Preacher, that's right. Yeah, she said that in this one. So that kind of, like, maybe stop a minute and go, And then the very end, maybe you guys read it better than me, but all right, so Saffron is in the one stall. Someone else comes in and is vomiting in the stall next to her. And she says in the second to last paragraph, no, sorry, in the third to last paragraph, "Oh, poor thing," Saffron thought as the vomiting continued. She wondered if the woman in the stall was a bakery worker, or if it might even be Rebecca, perhaps in the grip of food poisoning. So she already thinks it might be Rebecca. So I don't understand why she's so surprised when she walks out and sees Rebecca, or I guess it's Rebecca that is surprised. But so I think what she's trying to hint at is that Rebecca is throwing up the food on purpose, but I didn't get that for sure. Like, I couldn't tell if Rebecca was sick or if she was throwing up on purpose. So I think that I would just rework that end to be more clear, or at least give us more of an indication that for us to turn the page. Like, I felt more confused than I think she meant.
It was Rebecca that was shocked.
Right.
Because she got caught throwing up. I mean, that was my clear impression. And so here we have two half sisters, both with eating issues.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Issues, yeah. And one of the things I really loved, let me find it. When she went into the reason that she went into the larger wheelchair accessible bathroom to make it easier to accomplish the gymnastics needed to perform hygiene on her larger frame. Like, she didn't have to paint that picture to clearly paint that picture. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It shows us how far Saffron's come too, because Saffron no longer, she says, out of habit. You know, Saffron no longer needs that larger stall, but she still struggles with her eating. So, sorry, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I just really love Saffron, and I feel like I relate to her.
Yeah.
So.
My thought at the end of it was, it was definitely a cliffhanger that made me want to, turn the page and find out what's going on, and frustrated because there was nothing after this. But I still wasn't sure when she was purging. When she said, "Oh no," looking into the sink, was it full of blood? I mean, is she so control freak about her life that she's given herself an ulcer and now she's vomiting blood? Was it morning sickness? Oh no, I'm pregnant. Now she's got proof I'm pregnant before the wedding. So it's a cliffhanger for me because there are so many options of what it could be, that that's where I am at the end.
Can I also add that when I first read it, I read Reichenbacher instead of Redenbacher. So if she wants to change the name, that's what it's supposed to be. Just saying.
All right, shall we let her out of her isolation booth?
Sure.
All right, Jamie.
Thank you for the feedback. You guys always are very helpful with the things that you say and the things that you point out, and it's really great to get your impressions, and I appreciate it so much. The cheerleader thing, it's supposed to be a joke that's apparently not working, because it's just kind of making fun of the fact that she's going to have this ridiculous name. So she's just kind of trying to pick something ridiculous and say, well, if you can't be a blah, 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 you might as well have the name of one. So it's just supposed to be a joke. So I'll revisit it and see if I can.
That totally worked for me, by the way.
Oh, okay. So it didn't confuse you?
And I also felt like it was like a commentary on her own insecurities with her body shape, size.
Right, because if there's a sex object to be found, it's a NFL cheerleader, right? So
yeah.
that really was what I was going for. So if it worked for 2 out of 3, then maybe it works. I don't know. Maybe I leave it and let people argue about whether or not it works. Also, I love that it feels like a cliffhanger. The story does continue. Hooray for you, because that means all of your answers will become clear. I will say, I don't know if I should say, but Tina is on the right track. It's 2 sisters, and they are both on opposite spectrum of disordered eating, because, I really am not someone to be like, I'm going to make a societal statement with what I write. This was just basically what happened when I tried to write E is for engagement. These are the people, and this is the story that I'm telling. It's 2 sisters who are both dealing with stuff. And so the next segment, and the reason why I ended it right here, is because this is supposed to be finished, polished work that we're submitting to the Postcast. And I'm like, the rest of it, I have not gone through it and felt happy with how it all, like, I hadn't really done an edit of it. And so I'm not sure if it's too kind of awkward getting into the whys and wherefores and all of that stuff. And so it wasn't ready to be submitted. And that's why you only got this, whatever, 835 words or something. And it stopped there, because that's all the attention I was given to it this week. And I put it in the folder for Tuesday. I don't know. The story is not over. Yes, I just said that. And that was what I had to respond. Did I not address something?
Nope, I think that's good.
Awesome. So thanks again, guys. I'm glad you love these people. At least Saffron. I mean, I know that the sister isn't very sympathetic yet. And
No,
I guess that.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would disagree. I like the sister too. I feel like that the fact that she is, well, I mean, now that we've seen that she has a disorder too, like that makes you feel even more for her. But I liked it from the beginning, because she treated Saffron like she was just the same as her.
That's right. Yeah.
I love that. So
I forgot that you all had that backstory there.
Yeah, so often stories of somebody who has a weight problem, who has a family member or a best friend that doesn't, that best friend comes off as being like superior or like witchy. And I love that you didn't do that. Like, I think that is great.
Awesome. So thank you, guys. I'm really glad that it's working. I would like to have a podcast about different ways to start a story, because this story, like, I do a lot of slow burn. You know what I mean? I feel like if you don't care about a person, why would you care about what happens to them? And then there's the school of thought of like, but you need to jump right into the action, or nobody will want. And I think it would be really good to talk about like what is really true, because a lot of times it's like, well, what's going to sell the book? But traditional publishers put out what they want to put out. So you can't even say that this traditionally published author doesn't start with you right in the middle of the action. So obviously that doesn't need to be. Do you know what I mean? And so this is not an action-packed sort of a story. This is not like they're in a cake shop. Like, how boring could you be? And so is it worth carrying on? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I just think that's something worth exploring at some point.
And I happen to be reading a book right on that topic, and what I'm getting from it is you don't start right in the middle of the action. So you have to care about the character before you care if somebody shot them or if they got blown up in the subway tunnel, or you know what I mean? If you don't know them, then why would you care?
Yeah, I think it's a discussion to be had, because is it like genre specific possibly?
Possibly. I mean, think about it. If you're writing like a Jack Reacher type of story, I mean, you wouldn't probably spend a lot of time on characters, so not at the beginning. Or if you're writing a story that's a serial with the same characters or the same main characters, you wouldn't have to do that. So yeah, I think that probably genre affects it a whole lot. I mean, in my genre,
exceptions to that too, because like some of the really good books in that genre, like Bosch, Bosch, he always starts out with him ruminating his philosophy on life, which is like there are no coincidences in the universe kind of thing, and it's almost like his religious beliefs, and so it always starts in his head. and that's part of the draw of that character.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like he's an LA homicide detective,
Right.
kind of.
What were you gonna say, Jen?
I was going to say my genre, it is very important that you have the two main characters meet as quickly as possible. Not that you have them kiss or any of these action things, they have to meet. And so it's about the personalities and about the characters. That really is important first and foremost in romance. But in other genres, it's probably different. So, so that would be a good topic. We should look at that in the future.
All righty.
All right, everyone feel like they got some good back feeding time today?
Really do. Thank you guys very much. And thank you for letting us read your pieces, guys. It's really, really fun to have something to read every week. So appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gents, thanks for joining us today on our Postcast. Please join us next week. And if we're still in April and when you're watching this, tweet myself or the Christian Indie Writers Podcast Twitter account, and we will get you into our cabin for Camp Nano.
Whoop, whoop. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.